Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stretford Paddock for another episode of Paper Talk. And if you woke up this morning with the words World War III all over your phone, I'm afraid I don't really have any better news, to be honest. January transfer window, and it's getting more and more frustrating as the days seem to go on. Bit of news, though. Make of that what you will. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as we go through the video. Make sure to like the video, give us a retweet, share on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. But starting off, one of the main stories circulating this morning from The Athletic, so reputable source, obviously The Athletic bringing in plenty of the top writers throughout the football field, reporting that Kai Havertz is a top target for Manchester United in this window. And as you would notice through the title of the video, Havertz an alternative probably would raise a few eyebrows. I have a few thoughts on this, to be honest. Any player coming out of the Bundesliga, to be honest, any German player coming out of the Bundesliga it's always interesting to see how many papers seem to link these high-profile young German players with the Premier League. How many of them actually end up coming realistically directly from the Bundesliga? I said it on the podcast yesterday that, you know, Bayern Munich, they often monopolise the league. But look, Havertz, if you look on paper, is probably the type of player we need. Not having the most output this season. I think he's only got 2 goals and an assist in about 14 games. I think Leverkusen, I haven't seen a lot of Leverkusen said in the Bundesliga that much this season. I always like to catch it every week, but this season not as much. They're lying in 6th. But last season his numbers were frightening. Frightening, to be honest. He's only turned 2019 last season, 17 goals, 3 assists. He's 6'4", averages about 2.4 key passes a game. And if we're talking about a playmaker, if we're talking about a goal-scoring attacking midfielder, you can't look more further than this kid. But it just seems time wasting. I can understand why the papers are reporting a guy like Havertz to be linked with us. If you want my opinion, I don't see much in this, to be honest. Like I said, can you name me the last high-profile German player to not go to a Dortmund or a Bayern to leave the Bundesliga? It doesn't usually happen. Let me know what you think. Is Havertz a better option, perhaps, than the likes of Maddison and Grealish, which we discussed, me, Steve and Al, on the Paddock podcast yesterday, which you should definitely check out as well. We talked about the Pogba situation. We talked about the Lingard situation. But let me know, Havertz for you, is he the right man in your eyes to be that playmaker that we need to come in this season? Another player, however, that has been linked with the Daily Mail, the Guardian have been talking about, and he's a guy who's been in the headlines for maybe a few of the wrong reasons this season, is Todd Cantwell. Todd Cantwell's an interesting one, to be honest. I've heard a lot of people say that, just come up from the Championship, Norwich are, 19th in the league. Where that's all true, silently Todd Cantwell has managed to get himself 6 goals and 2 assists. Now, yeah, Norwich are dwindling and are probably going to go down. But I always like to just look at James Maddison, for example, who was putting up very similar numbers, if not better numbers for Norwich in the Championship. And, was getting a reputation for himself. It was his breakout season. And then Leicester go and pay the 25 million out for him, and he ends up being what we're talking today, this 70, 80, 90 million pound rated player. That's not me telling you that Todd Cantwell is going to be worth 80, 90 million. I think Todd Cantwell's a really good player. I think he's flourishing in a Norwich team, which, to be honest, has had a lot of good individual players. It's not just been Pukki. I think Buendia, Emiliano Buendia, who actually I'm pretty sure has just been nominated for Premier League Player of the Month, has been fantastic for them. A couple of United fans saying him as well could be a good option. I think he's only 21, 22 himself. Todd Cantwell does fit that mould. Like I said, he was in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, getting absolutely rinsed. If you've not seen it, that tweet he put out, something like reach for the stars and no one ever thought I would make it, and I'm wearing the always famous Norwich number 14 shirt. He got his comeuppance there, absolute karma. But now the kid can play, and I'd heard a bit about him going into the season, and he has delivered. Make of that whether it's in a poor Norwich team, what you will. But let me know in the comments as well. Josh Beidel saying Forsberg from Red Bull Leipzig would be perfect. Again, Forsberg on paper. I haven't seen a lot of them, although I know the numbers he's been putting up for Leipzig in the previous few seasons have been have been fantastic. Leipzig's an interesting one as well. Just how their recruitment process works. The fact they bring in these players, from almost obscurity and develop them. Forsberg on paper again, definitely in that central role. Cantwell, as opposed to Forsberg, has drifted more out left or right this season. He's not perhaps the central playmaker that we're looking for on paper. But again, I wouldn't turn my nose up at Todd Cantwell. People are valuing him at something like 30 million, although I think 30 million may be a bit generous when you take into consideration, one, he's English, two, he's been putting up good numbers, and three, United can't really afford to not get players in this window. And there's that whole United tax. We paid 80 million for Harry Maguire for a reason, and it's not because he's worth 80 million. It's because we're Man United. Anyway, let me know in the comments as well. Would Todd Cantwell be for you a player you'd like to see come in? Or Havertz, for example? Or give us your thoughts. Grealish and Maddison are a few names that have been bouncing around. And also let me know, I said this on the podcast yesterday, just how much of a mess and a clusterfuck recruitment at this club is. We don't know who's running things. The MEN were reporting Woodward in the Moyes window, quote, fucked up and pissed himself. He messed up so many deals. He shit himself in boardrooms. Make it the MEN what you will, but I actually wouldn't be surprised if those sources are true. We don't know who's running the transfers. There doesn't seem to be a plan. Haaland seemed to be the only option for us. And if I'm giving my honest opinion, I think it probably makes more sense for him to go to Dortmund. He's guaranteed far more game time there. He's got stable European football. Dortmund are a club who have a far better reputation in the last few years of developing and nurturing younger talent than we do, I would say, in my opinion anyway. Another player we've seen in the papers as well, Gedson Fernandes. I'm not even going to pretend to suggest to you I know what this kid plays like. I'm assuming when I look at his his heat map and his numbers, he's maybe like a Renato Sanchez type player. And I've always said, even when we were linked with the likes of Bruno Fernandes last season, players from the Portuguese league are very much a hit and miss. For every Di Maria you're going to get someone, I don't know, I can't think off the top of my head who was an absolute flop coming out of Nico Gaitan. I think ended up one season at Atletico, and I think he's in the MLS now, and he's not even, I think he's only turned 30, so make of that what you will. But yeah, Gedson Fernandes, apparently Sky reporting we've been linked with, but then again yesterday I should say, and then we woke up today to news that West Ham are allegedly leading the race to sign him now. And if World War III hasn't, dampened my day enough, the thought of us losing out to signing a player to David Moyes, there's so much irony in that, it's almost hard to comprehend. Maybe the Iranian missiles will end us all before that happens. I don't think I could take that. Gedson Fernandes, to be honest, I mean, what... 20-year-old lad. I think he's only one season in the Portuguese league. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Beatsprod said Gedson doesn't even start for Benfica. I'll take your word for it, mate. Look, I think he's played something like 20 games this season. He is only 19, I think. So I don't even think. For example, when Victor Lindelof came out of Benfica, I think he had to wait a long time before getting his first chance in the first team. He was a B team player for a long time. So maybe I wouldn't read too much into the fact that at 19 he's maybe not necessarily a starter week in, week out for Benfica as well. Harris Beg saying Grealish and Chan are the safer options in my opinion. Emre Can's a real weird one for me. I always thought it was quite weird that Klopp let him go on a free. He seems like that kind of industrious midfielder that would really flourish in this Liverpool team. Actually, probably one of the few examples of a young German player actually leaving the Bundesliga to come to the Premier League, and really impressed as well. Maybe not for everything he did, but that bicycle kick against Watford was pretty spectacular. That's the only thing that stands out for me with Emre Can as well. Abdullah Irwin saying we need to sign Timo Werner, Jack Grealish and Maddison. Again, Timo Werner, I think there's probably less than a 1% chance of him playing for anyone but Bayern Munich in the future. Lewandowski is 30 now, and despite the fact he is probably having the best season of his career. I think he will be on the wind down soon. And Timo Werner is just sat there at Leipzig with the Bayern Munich executives just eyeing up. They have been eyeing him up for the past few seasons, and it's inevitable he will be a Bayern Munich player, in my opinion. Could change. Tottenham saying he doesn't start because he's fallen out with the manager, but he has reported buyout clause in his contract of 108 million. It will be high for a reason. I assume you're talking about Gedson Fernandes there. If not, just clarify. What else are we saying as well? We won't sign nobody good. I don't believe so either as well, to be honest, bud. Also as well, a bit of other news as well. Team news going into the Wolves game at the weekend as well. Ollie was given the lowdown on who was fit and who was not fit. And obviously, the entire press conference and conversation surrounded one man. And no, it's not Marcus Rojo. Paul Pogba, obviously, the guy who everyone's talking about. Ollie was saying it as well in the press conference today. Kind of almost taking exception to the fact a lot of people have been giving Ollie stick, and rightfully so, in my opinion, for his attitude post Arsenal game. Almost seemed not to be happy with the loss. No one's saying that, but just attitude. Van Persie said it himself. He'd like to see Ollie, as nice as a guy is, maybe being a bit more abrasive, a bit more mean in that regard as well. But the team news coming in is that Sergio Romero, no surprise there really, he will start, and that Mason Greenwood will most likely start on Saturday as well. Ollie, with a few it's a bit of team news as well. He goes, Paul is out, Axel, Eric, Tim are getting closer but won't be ready for this. Rojo won't be ready for this. There are a couple of niggles, well, not niggles, illness and colds, which is normal for this time. Everyone except Paul Pogba as well, who apparently isn't even injured, which leads us to go Ollie as well, kind of went in on a few reporters as well for asking about Pogba. He was asked about Pogba. He goes, here we go again, FA Cup third round, and you're talking about Paul again. Paul came back for a long spell out, 2 games, couldn't go to Burnley, felt his ankle was sore. We did a scan and it's not the same injury. It's a different injury as well. And just this Paul Pogba, just I can't even describe it anymore. It's just getting tedious at this stage. I'd rather something happen than just be feeding you guys these dribbles of will he go or will he not go. You know, it's been going on for so long now. You know, going back to when the initial bust up happened, but last September with Jose, you know, it's just he's checked out. He has checked out. I don't think there's many of us here who would doubt that he doesn't want to play for United. I've always been a defender of Pogba. There's people out there who say there's an agenda against him. Partly I would believe that there is a bit of an agenda against him, but you can't deny the fact that he wants to leave the club. I don't believe he wants to play. There may be truth in his injuries. I think Ollie is just protecting the player a little bit, as many coaches do. We saw with Herrera last season, when he refused to sign his contract. Ollie was claiming he was injured, this, that or the other, when in reality we knew he had all but signed the deal to PSG. I'd be very surprised if Pogba leaves this window. But this summer, I think, is a different story. I think maybe the club, I think maybe they're looking at this window thinking, well, maybe if we laid the groundwork for signings in the summer, then maybe something will happen. The big Pogba replacement when it happen. I can't wait for Todd Cantwell to fill that number 6 shirt. Hard for him to give up that coveted Norwich number 14 shirt anyway. Make sure to smash the like on the video as well. Ollie, come on. Lighten up the morning because world obliteration is upon us, and a few likes will keep us going when the nuclear holocaust occurs. Aman Kumar says Pogba should go and he should be replaced by Saul. Saul Nunez again is on paper the ideal player, but the fact when a player signs like a 9-year contract extension at his club, probably a safe indication that they don't really want to sell him. And Atletico Madrid traditionally aren't really a selling club for low prices anyway. When you remember, you know, what was it Barca played for Griezmann? Something like 107, something like that. But yeah, Sale can't see him leaving Atletico ever. He'll probably be there for another 10 years and end up in the MLS, as a lot of players do. Who else? Gavin O'Donnell, The Athletic report, Woodward basically admitting he cannot do more than 3 deals in one window and 1 deal at a time. Totally inept. I did see, I skimmed over an article that Laurie Whitwell wrote for The Athletic, and basically it said something like United have made three signings in the last 3 windows. There was something that thrown in there, and that speaks absolute volumes, to be honest. I didn't mind the business we did in the last window. Definitely there wasn't enough business done, but if you look at every signing that's been made, I would say to some degree they have improved the squad. Harry Maguire getting a lot of stick after the Arsenal game, when in reality I don't even think he was that poor, to be honest. Wan-Bissaka, again, didn't have his best day, but again, who did? And Dan James as well. Dan James has been a bit interesting the past few weeks. Seems to have slowed down a bit. No fault of his own. I think it's more the fact we can't break down teams who play a low block, although Arsenal did give up a lot of possession in that second half. But I don't know. Make sure to smash the like button as well. I know I've said that, but come on, 132 of you watching, only 17 likes. I know who all of you are, and I will find you if you don't like the video. Sumat saying sign Nainggolan. I can't think of anyone worse to sign than Raja Nainggolan. Josh Biddle saying Forsberg has 22 assists in the German league a few seasons ago, and this season he has 8 goals and 4 assists in 19 games. Also a fantastic penalty taker. Again, Forsberg on paper makes a lot of sense. I just always think it's hard to get players at that level out of the Bundesliga because Bayern, I should say, they monopolise everything. Mark F saying Maguire is too safe, slows the play down way too much. I completely disagree. I think Harry Maguire saying he's too safe, he's actually probably one of the few players in our squad who can step up out of the line and play a forward pass. If anything, he's probably one of the unsafest players, does that make sense? Unsafest players in the United squad. Fantastic with the ball at his feet. But, maybe struggling at the moment a little bit with the weight that's on his shoulders as well. So Matt saying Ruben Neves. Was actually discussing this with a mate of mine, one of my housemates who's a big Wolves fan. I asked him how much would you say it would take for you to sell Neves? And he said, he quotes him at about 70 to 80 million. Although he said to me that he doesn't even think he's the best player in the team. He says João Moutinho's the team that makes him tick. The player, I should say, that makes Wolves tick. And remember, many moons ago, we were linked with João Moutinho. It seemed every transfer window, another one slipping through the cracks. But anyway, that's all from me today, guys. Make sure to smash the like button, this, that, or the other. Just a reminder, we will be doing a watch-along for the Wolves game on Saturday, and there is the Stretford Paddock FC trials taking place at, is it Ardwick Power League? Tomorrow at 9 o'clock?
Yes.
Ardwick Power League at 9 o'clock. If you fancy yourself a decent player at any level, really, pop down. We'll be hoping to get together an 18s team, a Sunday League team, and a first team as well. So if you have any experience and you fancy yourself a decent baller, come on down. If not for that, even for a kickabout, something like that anyway. That's all for me today, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.